Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here another 10 pens currently inked this week. I think let's go through these briefly one by one. We'll go through them in a little bit more detail and then we'll do a writing sample. So from left to right we have the Visconti, and this is the Golden Dust. We have a Visconti Divina Metropolitan, and this is a smaller version of the Davina in the stacked celluloid. We have a Visconti Homo Sapiens, and this is the blue Lagoon. We have a Visconti Medici Il Magnifico in the black marble. We have a Visconti Chatterley Luxuries Southwest. We have a Danitrio, and this is the Takumi Moonlit Grass. We have a WAHL Eversharp Decoband Oversize, and this is in the Positano blue. We have a Atelier Lusso Carina, and this is in the Galaxy. We have a Visconti Opera Master, and this is the Corvina, and a Visconti Opera Master Stardust. So let's take a look at these pens in a little bit more detail. So this is the Visconti Opera Master Golden Dust, and this is a really beautiful pen. It's a pen that I have really loved from the start. Not only when I saw this online, it was being sold used by somebody on eBay, and I managed to pick this up. It has this beautiful smoky like resin there, and you can see this in both the cap but also in the body, and it really does shine really nicely. So this is a pen that I decided I would ink up again, and I'm just having a look. This was a limited edition run of 60, and this is a pen number 3. So it is an Opera Master. It's not a regular Opera, so it is the larger versions. This has a 23 cat palladium nib. This is a fine nib on it, and I didn't think that I would like the fine nib, but I am loving it. So I will re-ink this one up with a different ink this week. But this is a pen that I do love writing with. It's a power vac filler. It's a double reservoir. And it's a weighty pen. All Visconti Opera Masters are fairly weighty. And I do like writing with them. So I will have that one inked up this week. The next pen here is the Visconti Divina Metropolitan, and this is in the stacked celluloid, and you can see this celluloid there. You also do have these silver rods, and they are actual solid silver that do wrap around the facets on this body. Yes, it is a faceted pen, but this is a beautiful pen. Now, this does have a much smaller number 5 size nib, but it's a 23 cat palladium nib, and this is a broad nib. Now, the filling mechanism on here is a captured converter. So you basically pull that out and you twist or either clockwise or anti-clockwise like you would a normal converter. So it does have a converter inside it, and you use that to activate it. So you cannot remove that cartridge converter. These are small pens. You can, if I get the cap the right way round, you can post those caps if you want to, and also you will notice here that the silver rods do line up as well. So this is an interesting pen, and I love how it writes. So I have that one inked up with me this week as well. And then I have a slightly larger Visconti Homo Sapiens, and this is the blue Lagoon. And I have to say, I am really glad that I got the pattern that I did. I love the blues and the greens. This reminds me very much of a tropical sort of Hawaiian sort of, or Grenada beach, sort of with the blue, the lovely turquoisey colour, sort of blue waters that you will see there. So I do have this inked up with a similar colour ink, although you will see most colour ink will look quite black in a demonstrator pen. Now, this does have a 23 cat palladium nib. Sorry, it does have an 18 cat gold nib. This is the newer style 18 cat gold nibs from Visconti. It's a medium nib. It's a power vac. It's a double reservoir. It's a hook safe lock. and I like how this pen writes. So as you can see here, hopefully, I don't know if you can see that air bubble just sort of going along the pen there, but this is fairly full. I have re-inked that one back up because I will be writing with it a lot. The next pen is the Visconti Medici Il Magnifico in the black marble, and I have to say I am really loving this. It has this sort of bronzy goldy kind of veins that are going through. That is actual real marble, so it's not just a resin that looks like a marble. And you then have the solid silver cap, a section, and power vac knob. These are sort of done in a vermeil, so it looks as though it's sort of like an aged brass effect going on. The nib here is a newer 18 karat gold nib, like the Blue Lagoon, and again that's a medium nib. It is a power vac. It's not a double reservoir though, so it does hold a little bit less ink. So a double reservoir, like in the Homo sapien range, mostly Homo sapiens, certainly the resin versions that have the double reservoir, they will hold around 2.5 milliliters of ink, and then the single reservoir will hold about a milliliter less, so around 1.5 milliliters of ink. If I wanted to post a cap, I can, but it is so back weighted, I really don't want to. And as I'm sure you know, I'm not really a cap poster myself. I will post some pens like the Divina Metropolitan, because I just find it a little bit more comfortable, or a little bit more really welcoming to have a slightly longer pen, so it's not too short in my hand. The next pen I have inked up this week is the Visconti Chatterley Luxuries Southwest, and this is in the same celluloid that the Speakeasy and the St. Basil was made from, which I also do have in my collection. So this is a beautiful red, blue and black celluloid there, and I love the celluloid to bits, and I love this pen. And you can see there it's number 20 of 28. So there are only 28 of these Chatterley Luxury exclusives made. So I have this in the rose gold, and there were some made in ruthenium black trim as well. Now the nib on here is the newer 18 karat gold nib from Visconti, and it's a medium nib with the ABS plastic feed. Again, it's a single reservoir. It is a power vac filler, but single reservoir. It's got the hook safe lock on it, and again, I like these pens a lot. You can post the caps as well. I think probably another reason why I prefer not to post them is I prefer not to mark or mar the finishes. Also celluloid, you do have to be a little bit careful because you don't want to really crack the caps. So I guess that's probably one reason why I don't post caps a lot. I also don't over tighten caps. So if you have some screw threads, certainly on a celluloid pen, I don't over tighten them. A lot of people do, and it can result in catastrophe because it will crack caps eventually. The next pen I have inked up is this one, and I picked this up this year, and this is the Danitrio. It's a Takumi, and it is the Moonlit Grass, and you can see here it's a beautiful Urushi and Maki-e pen from Danitrio, and you can see the moon there, and you can see the grass here. So it really is a stunning pen. I like it a lot. It's in Akatamanori finish, which again I like a lot. And then you'll see here has a number 6 size Danitrio nib there, and you can see the fireball nib, and then you have some little bits of sort of like Maki-e sort of stars there, I guess, and you've got the artist signature there. So this is a cartridge converter pen. I won't post the cap on this because you don't want to, because it is, in most cases you will find that Urushi is very, very tough, and it shouldn't mark that much. However, this grass here is fairly pronounced. It's not, in a lot of Urushi, this kind of Maki-e will be under the final layer of lacquer, so you will not feel it, but you do feel it here. So again, I don't want to damage that in any way, so I won't be posting that cap today. The next pen here is a WAHL Eversharp, and this is the Decoband Oversize, and this is in the Positano blue. Now, you might say, well, that pattern isn't lining up. Well, this does actually have 3 threads, so you can get it to line up if you want to. This is the newer modern WAHL Decoband Oversize, made by WAHL Eversharp, but also the pen family, and which is under the umbrella of Manu at Armando Simone Club pens. So this has a number 8 size nib, and it's a WAHL Eversharp nib, very similar to the Armando Simone Club nibs. They're made by Bock. They're very wet. There's only 1 nib width. It's deemed a medium, but it's more of a broad. It has a pneumatic filler here, so it does hold a fair amount of ink, quite a lot, probably. I've never really tested this in these, but I think it's about 1 to 1.5 milliliters of ink. It's basically a sack that is inside the pen. So whatever capacity a latex sack can hold, I know you get various sizes of sacks, but you're basically looking at around about that similar sort of capacity. And if I try and match that up, you can probably match it up. It does take, there's three threads, so you can sometimes get that to match up, and I probably missed a thread there. So this is quite a nice pen, and I do have that inked up. There you go. I do have that inked up this week as well. The next pen is an Atelier Lusso Carina, and this is in the Gravity. Now, this clip here is an old style clip that Eric was using, and I think that has tarnished a little bit. I can probably polish that back up again quite easily. I've not used this pen for some time. It's a beautiful pen. I saw this pen on his website, and I was really after some pens that he'd already had made and were available. And I saw this pen, and it reminded me, when you clean a fountain pen, if you do it, say, in a glass of water, you see all this sort of ink coming around and sort of swirling around in the water. And it reminded me of that, and I liked this pen so much that I bought it from Eric. And then I went on, I bought this one, I bought another Andromeda, so that was 2, and then I think I commissioned another 6. So that was, I think, 6, and then I bought another one, so 7. So I think I got 9 Atelier Lusso pens. I think Eric does some great work. This pen, I think, is a beautiful pen. Has a number 6 size Yovo nib. It's got a broad nib on there. It's a cartridge converter pen. I do like it. You can post the cap if you want to. It's not back weighted. I do like the Carina models. I like the size. I like the weight. They are, I think, honestly, a really, really good size. And like I said, I do like the work that Eric does. There are a lot of threads on this pen, and I know Eric said to me when I did the review of this pen, if you look on my channel, I've got a review of this pen. He did say to me he cringed a little bit because of the length of the threads on this pen. But honestly, it doesn't bother me. I remember early on in the fountain pen collecting days, it did bother me, but it doesn't bother me anymore. I guess you become more tolerant to things, nuances, really, on pens. So it doesn't bother me at all. But I know, yes, it will bother some people. All of the other Atelier Lusso pens I have from Eric, I think it's like 1 to 2 turns or something on the cap, so really not a lot, nowhere near as much as this. This is like, I think, 4 or 5 turns. The next pen I have inked up is a Visconti Opera Master, and this is the Corvina, and this was a Truffet exclusive. If you don't know, Truffet are in the Carolinas in North America, in USA, and this was an exclusive that Chris at Truffet managed to get with Visconti and Coles of London. It is a really, really lovely material, and I have to say, he went through a number of materials, handpicking them, and this was one of them that he came out with. And I do like this a lot. As with all Visconti Opera Masters, it is a power vac. It's a double reservoir. It's got a screw thread. Now, Visconti are sort of muddling the water here, because on the newer Visconti Opera Masters, they are actually putting in hook safe locks, and sometimes I think they are also putting in some resin as well. So bear that in mind. That I always used to think that the Homo sapiens were the only ones with the hook safe lock, but they are not now. So just bear that one in mind. It does have a 23 cat palladium nib there, and this is a stub nib. It's a 1.3mm stub nib, and if I can get that to focus, you'll see that it does have tipping on. So unlike steel stub nibs, most palladium or gold nibs that are stub will have tipping on them, because the material, either the 23 cat palladium or the 18 or 14 cat gold nibs will be quite soft and will wear down, so you do need tipping on them. And I actually like that in the Visconti 23 cat palladium nibs that are made by Bock, because that does actually also give a little bit more of a squaring off of the nib as well. The next pen is again another Visconti Opera Master, and this is the Stardust, and this is a beautiful, beautiful pen, and I like this a little bit more than the Corvina. Again, this was a Truffet exclusive. Chris at Truffet in the Carolinas was able to secure this with Coles of London and Visconti. And this actually came as a 2 set, so you could actually get this one or this one. And they were made, I just want to have a look, actually, there it is there. It's number 7 of 28. So there were 28 of the Stardust made and 28 of the Corvina made. Now this is in a ruthenium trim, and I do like ruthenium trim. It just gives it that darker appeal, and I think it matches this pen a lot. It's a power vac filler. It's a double reservoir. You've got threads, so it's not the newer hook safe lock Opera Masters, and it's a 23 cat palladium. Again, another stub nib, 1.3mm stub nib, but this is a really, really lovely writing nib. I don't write with stub nibs as much. Most of my writing nowadays tends to be letters or meeting notes. And I do find it difficult writing a lot, certainly say in a meeting on an A5 notebook with a stub nib, because you run out of paper pretty quickly. And likewise in a letter as well. So I've not been writing a lot with stubs. I do need to get back into them, because I do like them. I do love writing with them. They have some really good characteristics. So I have that one inked up this week as well. So I think with that, let's go and do a writing sample. So the first pen is the Visconti Opera Master Golden Dust. So I think we'll do an ink swatch here. Now this is a fine nib, and it's not only a wet nib, but it's also quite bouncy as well. This is an extremely well tuned nib, and it's a nib that I like writing with a lot. I didn't think I did, but I then started writing with it and really started to enjoy it. So this is the Visconti. Let's do that there. It's the Opera Master, and it's the Golden Dust. And it is a fine, and it's a 23 cat palladium nib. And then the ink in here today is Diamine Ochre. And I think I almost have a full Diamine ink lineup, excluding one pen. So I've got 9 pens inked up with Diamine this week. The next pen is the Visconti, and this is a Divina Metropolitan. So we'll do an ink swatch. Now this, you can see here, is a much broader nib. It is actually a broad nib. It's actually a 23 cat palladium nib, and it's got a little bit of a bounce to it as well. So this is the Visconti Divina Metropolitan, and it is in the grey stacked celluloid. Now this has a broad, and it's a 23 cat palladium nib, and then the ink in here is diamine, and it's amaranth, which is a colour of ink that I started out with Pilot Washizuku Sutsuji in this pen, and I'd had a few other pens inked up with that. I had another Davina Desert Springs inked up with it. I thought I need to put a different pink in there, and I didn't have many pink inks, and this was one of them, and I tried it and I loved it ever since. The next pen inked up this week is the Visconti Homo Sapiens Blue Lagoon. Now, we'll do an ink swatch here, but this is a fine nib, and you'll see that here. It is quite a fine nib. I would almost say it's bordering on extra fine, if not definitely extra fine for me. So this is a Visconti, and it's the Homo Sapiens, and it's the Blue Lagoon. Now, I say it's a fine or an extra fine nib. It is actually a medium, and it's a newer style 18 karat gold nibs, but I do like it, but it does write quite narrow for me. Now, the ink in here I have this week is Diamine Aqua Lagoon, which I think matches the colour of this pen quite nicely. The next pen is the Visconti Medici Il Magnifico in the black marble. So we'll do an ink swatch. Now this also has an 18 karat gold nib on it as well, but you'll see here that it doesn't write as fine, although it does write certainly finer, more towards a fine, I would say. So this is the Visconti Medici Il Magnifico, and it's in the black marble. And it is a medium, and it's a 18 cat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine Earl Grey, which is a nice ink, and this pen does actually have some grey. It's more black, but there are some grey areas, so I do like having that pen inked up with that colour ink. The next pen is the Visconti Chatterley Luxuries Southwest. So we'll do an ink swatch. And again, this is another 18 karat gold nib. It's a little bit more wetter nib. It does write correctly in terms of nib width to the nib designation. So this is a Visconti, and it's a Chatterley Luxuries, and it's the Southwest. And this is a medium, and it's the newer 18 karat gold nib from Visconti. And then the ink in here is Mont Blanc Corn Poppy Red. And honestly, I'd like to actually have maybe a Visconti ink in there, but the only red ink that Visconti have is Visconti Bordeaux, which tends to be typically a darker red. So I would like a brighter red from Visconti at some point. So if you're listening, Visconti, do please make a brighter red ink. The next pen is the Danitrio Takumi, and this is the Moonlit Grass. So we'll do an ink swatch on this one. Now this is a fine nib, and I'm trying a different red ink in here. I've had this inked up a few times, I think, in Currently Inks over the last couple of months. And I had a darker red ink in here, and I decided I would try and put a lighter red ink and just see how this goes. So this is the Danitrio, and it's the Takumi, and it is the Moonlit Grass. Now, this is a fine, and it's an 18 cat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine Poppy Red. And I thought I would try a brighter red ink, which probably doesn't match the darker red in the Akatamanuri. I think probably I would go back to a darker red ink. I think previously I had inked up Ackerman Dutch Masters Rembrandt's Chemozogen, and I think that was, I would almost say, a perfect match. So maybe Pelican Edelstein Garnet might be another match, or if I wanted something maybe somewhere between Poppy Red and one of the darker reds, maybe Pilot Washizuku Mamiji, maybe. So I'll have a look at that, but I think I will probably go back to Ackerman Dutch Masters Rembrandt's Chemozogen, because that I do think was probably a little bit better of a match. Although now that this ink is drying, I'm actually starting to like it a little bit more. The next pen is the WAHL Eversharp Decoband Oversize in the Positano Blue. So we'll do an ink swatch. And this is a super wet nib. And this is why I like the WAHL Eversharp Decoband Oversizes, and I like the Armando Simoni Club Bologna Extras, because they are super wet nibs. So this is the WAHL Eversharp Decoband. Let's see, not an O. Decoband Oversize, and it's in the Positano. I say it's a medium nib, but it really writes more like a broad. It's an 18 cat gold nib, and then the ink in here is Diamine, and it's Majestic Blue, which is a very nice dark blue, and it does have sheening properties as well. Let me see if I can show you the bottle here. So the bottle here, you can see the sheen there on that ink. So if you're writing on, say, Tomoe River or some paper that does show off sheen, then you should see some. The next pen is an Atelier Lusso Carina in the Gravity. So let's do an ink swatch. So this is a broad nib. It's quite a wet nib. It's a still Yovo nib. And I do like how the Yovo nibs write in broad. So this is an Atelier Lusso Carina, and it's in the Gravity. And it is a broad, it's a Yovo still nib. And then the ink in here today is Diamine, and it's Azure Blue, which is a really lovely blue ink. A little bit more of a royal blue, darker royal blue. It's quite nice. The next pen is the Visconti Opera Master Corvina. So we'll do an ink swatch here. And this is not a Diamine ink, it's a Visconti ink. And it is their Bordeaux. So this is a Visconti. Oh, I've got some grease on the paper from my hand oils. It's been quite hot here. So it's Visconti Opera Master and Corvina. I do find in summer months I do need to start using, if I'm writing letters, certainly on Tomoe River, or other sort of smooth paper like the Oxford Optic, I do need to use a hand protector, which normally to me is probably just an A5 card or sheet of paper that I put under my hand as I'm writing. Now this is a 1.3mm stub nib, and this is a 23 cat palladium nib. The other thing I do find though is that the stub nibs, I wouldn't say palladium, but stub nibs in general tend to be a little bit more prone to hard starts and skips as well. The ink in here is Visconti, and it's Bordeaux. But because it's one of the sort of summer, well, it's towards the end of the summer now. We're in October, but still, though, I might still have to. I have been using hand protectors a lot over the summer, and maybe I still need to use them. The last pen here is the Visconti Opera Master, and this is a Stardust. So we'll do an ink swatch here, and again this is another stub nib, but this actually writes slightly wider than the previous nib. So this is a Visconti Opera Master, and it's the Stardust. But as you can see, these write pretty wide. Again, it's a 1.3mm stub nib, and it's a 23 cat palladium nib. And the ink in here again is Visconti Bordeaux, which came with, I had 2 bottles of ink, so each pen came with a bottle of ink. And I have always had those pens inked up with Visconti Bordeaux. So I think let's go and take a look at these pens inked up one more time. We have a Visconti Opera Master Golden Dust in a fine 23 cat palladium nib inked up with diamine ochre. We have a Visconti Divina Metropolitan in a broad 23 cat palladium nib inked up with diamine amaranth. We have a Visconti Homo Sapiens Blue Lagoon in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with diamine aqua lagoon. We have a Visconti Medici Il Magnifico in a black marble in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with diamine Earl Grey. We have a Visconti Chatterley Luxuries Southwest in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Mont Blanc Corn Poppy Red. We have a Danitrio Takumi in a Moonlit Grass in a fine 18 karat gold nib inked up with diamine Poppy Red. We have a WAHL Eversharp Decoband Oversize in the Positano Blue in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with diamine Majestic Blue. We have an Atelier Lusso Carina Gravity in a broad steel nib inked up with diamine Azure Blue. We have a Visconti Opera Master Corvina in a 1.3mm 23 cat palladium stub nib inked up with Visconti Bordeaux. And then last but not least, we have another Visconti Opera Master, but this is the Stardust in a 1.3mm 23 cat palladium nib inked up again with Visconti Bordeaux. So there you have it. That's my currently ink pens for this week. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.